Hey guys, Zach here, coming at you with another video. Today I've got a really cool collaboration for you guys. Guest, introduce yourself.
Hello, CC Media here.
I seriously hate doing the introduction part because it's so awkward.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is a really cool collaboration we're doing because it's going to be in two parts. This part is, obviously, you're watching it right now. Hi. But the second part is going to be on his channel, so make sure to go and hit that little subscribe button to his channel as well as mine. So, yeah, anything you want to say before we get started?
Not really. I guess we can sort of talk about kind of what the plan is for both of these videos, because they're both going to be kind of structured in a slightly different way. Do you want to talk about kind of what we're going to focus on for this part one, and then I can talk about what we're going to do for part two on my channel?
Yep, so part one, which is obviously this one, is going to be more so about the video that we actually posted on CC Media's channel about a month ago or so, maybe a little less, that talked about 5 specific points that we really wanted to see really improved with this Paper Mario game. So in this part, we're going to be discussing if they, so far from what we've seen, have improved all of that from what we've seen on YouTube and from Nintendo themselves, etc.
Yeah, and then in part two, we're going to talk specifically about the treehouse footage that we just got a couple days ago, and kind of all of the new information that we've gotten in the past couple of days. So yeah.
All right, so I guess without any further ado, let's get right on into it.
All right.
So the first point we had in that original video was a unique and powerful story that takes risks. So,
Yes.
You see, I think the story, you can agree with me or disagree with me on this one. It's unique, but not unique at the same time. Like, the thought of a king, you know, literally, like, turning everyone into something, and taking the castle is a little unique, but then the whole, like, festival kind of thing has been used since Mario Galaxy a lot.
Right.
So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Like,
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. There's definitely a lot here that is taken from other Paper Mario games, but also just kind of the Mario series in general. Like you talked about the whole festival idea where the game starts, where Mario is showing up to this festival, and you know we saw that in Sticker Star with the Sticker Festival, and then the whatever it was called in Mario Galaxy. But you know, I think I don't know if it's necessarily a big issue that this game doesn't seem to have, you know, a big kind of unique, crazy story. I think what's really going to matter more is the story from a kind of smaller perspective when it comes to the dialogue and the interactions and that sort of thing. So even though like the overall premise doesn't seem super unique and original, I am still very hopeful that and excited by what we've seen so far. Because it seems like the dialogue is still gonna kind of have a lot of that charm that's so great about Paper Mario games, even if the overall story is nothing too crazy.
yeah, like I'm hoping that like like you said, even if the story isn't like grand or epic or whatever, I really want those little details, like the story with the characters, for instance.
Yeah.
Like I remember
for
we
sure.
were talking about this privately. Where we were talking about that you were excited that you saw the moment with Olivia, and then she had like a moment where she
Yeah.
was really like upset and like she can't do this anymore. If that connection with her brother is really emphasized here, then that will lead to a really interesting arc, and I really hope that they play
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And it seems like, you know, from what we've seen, we won't get into the treehouse footage too much here, but it does seem like from what we've seen, there are going to be some great dialogue moments there, and we haven't seen a whole lot of like dramatic moments like that one you were talking about with Olivia and Mario from the last trailer, but it does seem like there's some pretty great kind of one-liners here, and it's definitely got that, you know, Paper Mario writing that is definitely kind of a standard for the series, so that's good for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anything else you want to add on with the story before we move on to the next point?
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, generally, you know, pretty positive, I guess, despite, you know, what we talked about. The story's not crazy or anything, but it seems pretty good, though.
Yeah. Okay, so the next point is the battle system and how it could feel fresh and expansive without being too repetitive or tedious. So we'll start off with you. What do you think of the battle system?
Yeah, so from what we can tell, the battle system, kind of comes in two phases. There's part one of each battle where you have to sort of solve the puzzle and do the whole ring mechanic to line up as many enemies as possible, which you don't have to do that successfully every time, but it makes the battle that precedes that much easier, or at least faster. And then after that is when the normal battle takes place, depending on how you lined up the enemies. And I like it. I mean, it sounds like the battle itself after you've done the whole ring puzzle isn't that, there isn't a whole lot to it. And I guess that's fine. I'm excited about the puzzle aspect of the ring mechanic, but what I'm more nervous about is just that, the idea of the battles becoming tedious as the game goes on. And because there isn't, we'll probably talk about this later, but because there doesn't seem to be much XP or incentive really to begin with when it comes to battling in this game.
Yeah, it just, because obviously we can tell that it's really drifting away from being a real RPG. That's been obvious since basically Super Paper Mario. But, I think the battle system looks fine. Just my one thing is that, you could basically, from what I've seen, now this could be different later in the game, maybe it's because we've only really seen early footage, but you can basically pay the toads to kind of solve the puzzle for you, kind of. Like where you put in, a bunch of coins, and then, the toads will come in, and it's or something will happen where, the dial will change, and it'll basically almost kind of set the puzzle up for you, and it's I thought it was really cool that you had 30 seconds to figure out this puzzle, but you can kind of pay off the toads to kind of do it. So I don't know. I guess it's optional, so you don't have to do it. But I don't know. It just kind of seems like a cheap way out. But overall, I think the battle system looks pretty decent. But like you said, without the things that you earn from it, like the XP and all that, it really makes the battles feel pointless. And again, there are coins that you get from it, and I think they also said confetti pieces, but mostly coins. But you can also earn coins in the world. So I really hope that they add some real incentive to make the battles worth fighting, rather than a nuisance more often than not.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better.
Oh, thank you. But actually, there actually is one more point I think we should touch on here, which is the boss battles, because they're a little bit different.
True.
I like the boss battles. I think obviously it's a bit different than the regular fights, and I actually think it looks pretty cool to do. I don't know. I think it looked pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the bosses themselves with their design and everything.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later. But I do like it seems like the puzzle solving aspect of it when it comes to the bosses is going to be a lot more kind of intricate than the normal puzzles you do, throughout the world with your fighting kind of the common enemies. And I also, so I like that, but I also like the fact that the boss battles seem to take place in the same kind of battle structure as the normal ones do. There's nothing different about it. It's also on that kind of ring, with that kind of ring format. And I really like that the bosses are sticking to kind of that same structure that you use throughout the whole game. And I really like that the Origami King is leaning into this new kind of battling system for all the battles that you do in the game, whether it's a boss fight or fighting the common enemies like Goombas or Shy Guys. So I think that's really cool. And yeah, so I think the boss fights look pretty fun, and I like the kind of strategy element to them. It seems like there's a lot of steps, especially to the what's the one that I guess it's probably the first one, the pencils that you fight. It seems like there's kind of a lot of steps to it. It's not just kind of repeating the same thing over 3 stages or whatever like a normal boss fight. So it seems pretty cool.
Yeah, I like. Funny enough, as much as I don't like the pencils, which we'll talk about in the next point, being the characters. Yeah. I did like how there were different reticles that came onto the field, and you're like, okay, you have to avoid those. So now you really have to strategize how to move your character to the point you need to go without hitting any of those. So like, I don't know. Yeah, I agree. They look pretty dang cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next point is uniquely designed Mario characters. And our main concern was that it was really going to be a lot of uninspired characters, like the typical Bowser henchman being Bob-omb, Kamek, and they had no unique quirks to them. I think this one kind of speaks for itself a bit. I'll let you start this one.
Okay, I think I'm sort of sensing a theme for this video. None of these things are really as great as we hoped they would have been back when we made that first video, but I think we are both kind of at ease with that. We accept it. Like, it's clear. It was clear, honestly, back when we made that first video, but it's especially clear now that, yeah, the game's not really going to have terribly uniquely designed Mario characters. And it's okay, I guess. Like, I don't know. At least for me, I've kind of come to terms with that by this point, and I'm going to enjoy the game regardless, or at least play it. But, so, yeah, it's a bummer, but, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, for me, the one thing I do wish, though, I mean, this is something that actually I did get uplifted when I saw a certain character in I think it was a trailer. I saw Birdo. So I was like, okay,
yes, yeah.
At least they're, like, because for me, even if you didn't have, like, the uniquely designed ones, I want more of a variety of them. Because, like, I mean,
yeah.
The thing is, like, with the treehouse footage, I'll go back to here for a second. I mean, at least for me, there were a lot of Toads and Koopa Troopas. And I was like, I don't know, like, I wish the world was filled with more unique, Birdo, like, I don't know if we'll see Yoshi, or Wario Waluigi, or, there's so many other characters that they could utilize. I wish they would do a little more, like, a little more than just, and another thing I noticed is, I read an article, apparently, so we know Bobby the Bob-omb.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, his name is actually Bob-omb, but Olivia just likes to call him Bobby.
Yeah, or it's like Olivia calls him different names, like, throughout that kind of chapter of the game, and then eventually she settles on Bobby, or something like that. But yeah, his name isn't actually Bobby.
Yeah, and I thought his name being Bobby, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, at least he has a name, but he really doesn't, so...
Exactly.
It was like, oh,
yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, I'll never get over having to talk to a million different Koopa Troopas or anything like that. Like, it's just, that bothers me, but like you said, like, as long as they offer more things like that Birdo cameo we saw and like stuff like that, then I'll be a little more at ease. But, like you, I'm still not that in love with, that fact.
Yeah, definitely. And I do also want to say, though, I mean, there is more, I think, to do, more that the Toads get to do in this game than in the previous games. Like, something that I really like about the treehouse footage that we saw is that apparently, like, you rescue some of the Toads that you rescue throughout the game, they'll actually go back to Toad Town and then, like, start up shops or whatever, and you sort of, like, fill up Toad Town as you rescue the Toads throughout the game. Like, they head back to Toad Town. And I think that's really cool. It kind of gives it gives a lot of incentive to find the Toads, and it also kind of gives them each their own little thing. Like, oh yeah, I'm the Toad who runs the Blink shop or whatever. So, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and at least, like, some of the Toads have some unique designs. So, like, I remember looking at the website, there's this one called Captain T-Ode, and, I mean, to me, he looked more like a vampire than a captain, but, like, there's at least some intricate-ish design with some of the Toads.
Yeah.
So it's not just a bunch of little red Toads running around. You have to figure out which one's the one you need to talk to. So, yeah, but, it's one of those things where it's like, what can you do at this point?
Exactly. Like, what's the point in, complaining about it when the game is so close? Let's just play it and enjoy it, like, there's always going to be a part of me, and I'm sure that wishes that were the case, and maybe, we'll get more uniquely designed characters, or at least variety of Mario universe characters in future games if we don't hear. But you know, I think this game definitely makes a lot of good choices there. It's not completely you know, dull and uninspired when it comes to the characters. Like, I mean, we also, you know, a lot of the enemies that you see throughout the world, like, to be fair, they're also pretty unique on their own, because having, you know, origami versions of those characters as opposed to just the normal flat 2D paper versions, like, that gives just a bit of variety too, which is kind of nice. Obviously not as much as we would probably want, but still, you know, it's something.
Yeah, I mean, I liked a lot of the what are they called? The unique, or the origami designs of, you know, the characters we saw.
Yeah, exactly.
And there seems to be a decent variety of them, too. Like, you know, in trailers, I've seen, like, snippets and spinies and the bats, whatever they're called.
Yeah, for sure.
So the fourth point that we have is the humor is equally charming and clever as the previous games, and our concern about that was that the humor is going to rely on paper, cardboard puns, and jokes too much, and lacks any kind of genuinely clever writing. I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. I don't know about you. I'm 50-50.
Yeah.
Like, there are some jokes. Like, I really liked the segment of the treehouse with the Monty Mole. Like, that was just super cute. I love that. But there are a lot of paper jokes that, like, it's one of those things, it's cute at first because it's a paper game, but, like, once you're, like, a lot of games in, it loses its charm, because, like, why are you making paper jokes about, like, the 6th or 5th entry in a series about, you know, paper, like, I don't know, like, it just kind of loses its charm after that while.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big complaint that I had. It was just kind of a general complaint that I've had with the more recent Paper Mario games, is that, like, the humor relies a lot more on, those kind of paper and cardboard jokes rather than, like, actually clever writing. Which in turn kind of makes these worlds feel a little less kind of authentic and lived in, and a little more just like, you know, like aware, like self-aware, to the point that they don't even feel like authentic worlds anymore. They just feel like, you know, a video game, like that's taking advantage of its gimmick for its jokes. But from what we can tell, I feel like there's a lot of, you know, I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot of the, you know, the dialogue and the jokes based on the little treehouse footage that we've gotten, but it seems like there's a lot of kind of not just little one-liners and puns, which are funny every once in a while, but, like, there's some good kind of situational humor here too, which is nice. And yeah, like the part you talked about with the Monty Mole hosting, like, an auction or something. It was something like that, but that was pretty great. So yeah, it seems pretty good.
Yeah, that's where it really, like the humor and the characters, I think they're both, like, intertwined almost, because a lot of that humor comes from the individual characters you meet, you know? You talk to them, and then they have, like, little witty one-liners, not even puns, but just one-liners to kind of make you chuckle, you know?
Yeah.
And this game definitely has that in some regard, like we said with the Monty Mole. I think that's the biggest instance so far. Yeah, the Toads, too. But I don't know. I'm just hoping that there's, like I said, more of that and less of the paper crafts puns. But, well, like I said, that's one thing that's really hard to answer without having experienced the whole game. So, yeah, then the fifth point, which I think is the only one that we're both pretty universally completely positive about, is that the worlds that we get to explore are creative and unique and aren't typically standard to Mario games. I think they actually did a pretty good job of making worlds that aren't basic and standard. Yeah,
I definitely agree too. And even if some of the worlds are a little more kind of, you know, they have a standard theme, like grassy plains, or, you know, getting to the top of a you know, standard grassy mountain. I do think they put a lot of little kind of nice quirks and touches in there to really kind of make things interesting. Like what's the deal with the trees in the foresty area? Like how they all sing or something. I haven't seen much of that because, frankly, I don't want to get too spoiled. But you know, it seems like there's a lot of great stuff in here that's making these worlds really unique and memorable, which is great.
Yeah, and it also I mean, that world that you were talking about with the tree, like, I didn't really look much of that either, but I did see, like, it was like there's like a big tree with a face, and it kind of reminded me of the Mario Party 6 board. Towering Treetops. I know you haven't played it, but basically
I think I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
yeah,
I've
it's a
seen
giant
that.
tree that you climb up during for one of the boards, and it reminded me of that because tree with a
Yeah.
face. So I don't know if they keep doing like little callbacks like that to maybe like older Mario games, like that would be cool. Like just like
Yeah.
because that's another thing. Like you mentioned earlier, like making the world feel real. If you make those little connections to other Mario games, it'll make that universe, that world, seem more real when you're like, oh, I've seen that in other Mario games and
Yeah, for sure.
stuff like that. It's like,
Yeah,
I
plus,
think actually you mentioned it in one of your videos, not Mario related, but you mentioned that with what's it called? The Temple of Time? Is that what it's called? Where
Yeah.
it's like it's in every single Zelda game and it kind of has a different feeling in each one. That was you, right? I hope that was you.
Yeah, I was talking about there. I made a video about memorable worlds in Nintendo games, like why certain worlds resonate. Yeah, and I talked about how the Temple of Time, a lot of locations come back throughout all the Zelda titles, which I think is awesome. But the Temple of Time is specifically one where every time I'm at the Temple of Time in a Zelda game, I don't feel like I'm in that game's like interpretation of the Temple of Time. I feel like I'm just in the Temple of Time. Like it's the same location despite, thousands of years between all of these games, just because of all the lore that it holds and the music and everything. And I think that's so cool. And yeah, I think that definitely ties into what you're talking about, talking about here with these worlds, and the whole kind of tree worlds and everything. Also, I'm a sucker for gigantic trees in Nintendo games. That's always something I like to see. Like that one in Mario Party 6 and here, and of course the Deku tree. They love their big trees, and I'm cool with that.
That's one of the most interesting little, what's a not an appropriate word? Little interests to have with
Yeah.
Nintendo games.
Well, it's just such a thing. They do that so often in their games. Like they have a big giant tree that like you climb up, and it's always nice to see. It's like, yeah.
I mean, hey, why wouldn't you have a big giant tree, right?
Exactly.
Oh, they have the one in Kirby too, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh well, now that we got onto that little branch of a tangent, get it. That's all the time we have for part 1 of our little discussion about Paper Mario. Part 2 will be coming on his channel, so I'll leave a link to his channel in the description down below. Any final thoughts before we depart? Like link your channel, all that, and other stuff?
Not really. Hopefully my channel's in the description if you want to check it out.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, before we go, CC Media, I would like to formally congratulate you on your 1,000 subscriber milestone.
Oh, thank you.
And make sure to check
Zach.
out his skit video that he did for his one. It was actually really hilarious. I loved it. So
Thanks so much. Yeah.
make sure to check that out. Just thought I'd plug that in there. So yeah, I got nothing else to say, and yeah, go check out his channel, and we'll have a video on there shortly. So until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video.
See you in part 2.